Incredible Northeast India Tourism, a vehicle for women empowerment, powered by Transport Department, Government of Assam, co-powered by Ensure, Complete Balanced Nutrition for Adult, co-powered by Dr. Ortho Ayurvedic Tel Aru Capsule, Gachir Bikhor Babe Ononyo Oushod, education partner, the Downtown School, in association with Awesome Assam, print partner, the Assam Tribune.
Are there any questions from the audience for the panelists?
Good morning to all the panelists. It was a very, insightful discussion, and I just wanted to know that you have raised a very important point about Northeast being very vulnerable, and I quite agree with that because we are sort of opening up for tourism in a big way. But then when you mentioned that you are very concerned about the outcomes, the impacts of tourism now coming into the area and the region, which is a very, very important thought and very, very right time to address it. So in terms of the local communities, do you think that there is a level of awareness being generated in the communities of whatever they've had experience till now from tourism? Or is it just the, at the level of yourselves who are very aware about the outcomes of tourism and how dangerous it can be also for an area? Or is there any general, awareness raised within the communities also about these dangers? So because that's, I think, a very critical thing that they are aware, and because unless they are involved, I don't think, it can be achieved only by few people be addressing these issues. So just wanted to know in general how aware are the communities now with whatever experiences they've had till now in tourism.
Speaking about community participation and involvement in tourism, I think it's still not there. It's not very much there because, like every other thing, tourism has also become an elite capture. Somebody from the city is promoting a destination in the wilds, and that person is picking his or her group of people who they think can manage the resources there. So you look at people who go to visit a waterfall. Just at the entrance, there will be somebody taking money, and the money is also, you're paying a pittance. For a wonderful, majestic site, you're paying 20 rupees. The costing of tourism products is also a problem as far as I am concerned. I think we are selling ourselves cheap. Then you come down to the waterfall, there are no narratives, there's no storytelling. And I'd like to believe that if women were more involved, they'd have more stories to tell, because every waterfall is linked to some story or the other. Unfortunately, some of those waterfalls have very, dark stories, but not all of them. So we can actually, telling stories doesn't mean you tell the truth. We have a lot of folklores. If you go to Nepal, for instance, people will tell you all kinds of stories, and you believe those stories because they are told to you so convincingly. I think women can be much more involved in those sort of soft tourism work. And the community does not benefit much. They're losing a lot, but they're not benefiting much. So I don't know if we have a model where the community becomes a compulsory part of any tourism promotion.
Thank you.
I'd just like to add very quickly what Madam Patricia Mukhe mentioned. See, she raised issue about the cost of accessing a tourism experience. See, in a way, what you have said is, you spoke about we discussed positioning, and the second concern that you raised was sustainability. See, in a way, the way I look at it is both are connected. See, if you are talking about beach tourism in Goa, you have to position yourself as a mass tourism destination. There cannot be a niche tourism in beach tourism. But if you are talking about a state of Arunachal Pradesh, you cannot have the same approach. So that is where, in my scheme of thinking, positioning is very, very, very critical, and they are related. Your sustainability, if you kind of have a mass tourism kind of an outlook, you cannot talk about sustainability. And yet you need to have tourism. So you need to have revenues, because tourism also has to be viable. And then you need to have, in places like Meghalaya, it's actually becoming a problem. Large number of domestic tourism go, it's a very good destination, very easily accessible from bigger metro cities and stuff like that. So I think there the regulatory bodies have to kind of come in and, kind of build in barriers which will build in value to the stakeholders there. You have go to a village, you pay some 20 rupees and, you do a damage of 200 rupees. That kind of a thing will ultimately not add value.
Absolutely.
So what I wanted to say is, positioning and sustainability perhaps as a strategy could be linked.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Actually, being from the industry, I'd like to share something on sustainability, because a lot of talk has been going on sustainability. So sustainability, I just jotted down a few lines here. So sustainability is more than just going green, actually, or managing the impact on the environment. We talk about respecting culture, respecting the nature, or respecting the host. But I think it is also about the economic and social development. Because we have, along with these, we have to also look into the social concerns such as inclusivity, providing equal opportunities, work-life balance, promoting employees' health and well-being, sourcing supplies locally, encouraging entrepreneurship and encouraging diversity in the workforce are some part of the sustainability agenda. These should also be included in the sustainability agenda. By diversity of workforce, I mean we employ more members from the LGBT community, persons with disabilities, mothers returning from sabbatical leave, people from different socio-economic and educational backgrounds, besides increasing the number of women in workforce. I would like to share this, and I look forward to your views and comments. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think...
So essentially coming back to what we were discussing, I agree with Manoj, and also I understand Patricia's concerns, but we as tour operators and in the tourism trade are equally responsible. But we must see what the customer is looking for, and we must also give all the women and the men equal share in this stakeholder game. When you're talking about the rural and the community development participation, it's important that the women are trained and women get their fair share. And it's not a big rocket science. Our women are naturally hospitable. We have natural interpersonal skills. All that we know is that we must respect their space and give them the good value for it. That is why the only answer for the Northeast is fragile ecosystem that we belong to. We can't have mass tourism. We must have that high value and low impact tourism. We must be very conscious about it. And rural and community participation is the way forward. And women are trained. What we have to envisage under our MOU with the Ministry of Tourism, train women under the skilling THSE, where they are trained post-COVID on the best practices. So one feels safe to go to all the roadside stalls and dhabas run by women, which would be naturally add to them. And why train the women? If you train the women, you're training the whole community. You're educating and value adding to the entire community, to the children, to the generations ahead. And believe me, they'll do a far better job of it now. So let us get women into that stake. And I see Secretary Tourism here, and she'll understand the point very well, that yes, let's go and get our women into that formal circle, and then you'll see great results. Thank you.
Like when we are talking about community involvement, see if I talk about Manipur as a state, we don't have any industry. So how do we generate employment? This is the only way forward. We look at tourism or ecotourism or village tourism. So as Ranjita rightly said, it's not only flora and fauna or the destination attractions, it's about the entire people around, the customs, the traditions, the way it is followed. And as rightly said by Patricia ma'am and Janvi ma'am also, how to involve the women folk. Like, it's not about putting a woman in some position. it's about giving that particular woman, involving her in decision making. Actually, in our societies, if we say we are more powerful, women empowerment, we like shout at the top of our voices that we are empowering women just by giving a position. But are we actually involving them in decision-making powers? Are our women at our own homes, are they involved in our financial decisions, in our social decisions? That is more important, because that only will create interest in them to come into our tourism fold or whatever income generation you are looking at. Thank you.
Thanks so much. With this, I think we will conclude our panel discussion. I would like to thank all our panelists once again. To encapsulate, we discussed how to drive more tourists to our region while respecting environment, culture, and heritage, and increase the role of women as stakeholders in the tourism business, ensure that they have an equal voice, and bring the community together in all tourism-related businesses that happen in our region. Thank you very much for your time and patience, and we will end this discussion now. Thank you.
Well, that was such an interesting and informative session. I thank our panelists and Ms. Ankita for moderating the discussion. And now I request Dipanita Jaiswal and Dr. Sriparna Burwa to felicitate our guests on the dais. Our guests, Elena Satpathy, Ms. Janavi Fukon, Patricia Mukhim, Mr. Manoj Jalan, Mr. Urijit Purkaisto, and Uken Tayal. Thank you so much. We have a quick photo session. Thank you. Welcome back to all of you. And our topic for this panel discussion is tourism, a vehicle for women's empowerment, government's incentives for tourism sector. In this session, we look forward to having government's voice and viewpoint on this topic. This session will be moderated by Dr. Sriparna B. Burwa, co-chairperson, IWN Assam chapter. I request you, ma'am, to kindly come up on the dais. Dr. Sriparna B. Burwa is a development professional with 33 years of work experience in management education and in small and medium enterprise development. Dr. Burwa was associated with the Indian Institute of Entrepreneurship as head, Center for Industrial Extension, and as director in charge. Her involvement in the last 2 decades has been on entrepreneurship and livelihood promotion and projects relating to development of livelihood clusters, specifically in all the 8 states of Northeast India. Dr. Burwa has also been working towards developing the ecosystem for promoting women entrepreneurs and startups in the social sector. She presented papers and shared Indian experiences of small enterprise promotion in both national and international forums. She played an important role in initiating the first Northeast Regional Entrepreneurship and Startup Summit. Dr. Sriparna B. Burwa received the Bharat Vikas Award for her contribution to the livelihood sector from the Institute of Self-Reliance in 2017. She also received the Lifetime Achievement Award for her contribution to the field of entrepreneurship development and livelihoods from National Foundation for Entrepreneurship Development, March 2022. Welcome, ma'am. And now for our panelist. Let's welcome Sadhna Deori, IAS, our panelist. She's from Pasighat, Arunachal Pradesh. Sadhna Deori joined the Arunachal Pradesh Civil Service in 1992 and was inducted into the IAS in 2009. She's currently serving as the Secretary Tourism in Itanagar, Arunachal Pradesh. She's committed to promote the homestay and rural tourism in the state and encouraging the women entrepreneurs in diverse fields. Welcome, Sadhna Deori, ma'am. Our next esteemed panelist, Mrs. Tiarenla Rutsa, is the Deputy Director, Tourism Government of Nagaland. Mrs. Tiarenla Rutsa earned her bachelor's degree in hotel management from IHM, Kolkata, before pursuing a master's degree in history from Nehru University. She is currently serving as the Deputy Director of Tourism, Government of Nagaland in Kolkata office. Ms. Tiarenla Rutsa, who is the Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry New Delhi President for the state of Nagaland, is now working on projects focusing on handloom and handicraft tourism and agri-tourism. This program is an NEC endeavor to construct a tourism craft village. Presently, 30 artisans are receiving 3 months of training from the Ministry of Textiles. She is actively working to bring a closer networking with NIFT and KVIC to highlight the significance of Khadi tribal pattern design. In addition to her career, she has great passion for cooking, gardening, and hospitality. Welcome, ma'am. And we also have a member in the panel who works closely with the government, Partho P. Das. Mr. Das, can we have you on the dais? He's a consultant with Assam Tourism Development Corporation and an honorary advisor of Village Defense Organization, Assam Police. He was in the Department of Tourism as tourism advisor to Bodoland Territorial Council and was responsible for formulating the tourism policy of the government. While working as senior manager for Ashoka Holidays, he successfully implemented the first community-based eco-tourism project at Manas National Park in Northeast India. The organization received the Most Innovative Tourism Product for the year 2004 award at the Travel and Tourism Fair, Kolkata. Yes, we have our panelists now, and now I request our moderator, Sriparna Burwa, to take forward the session.
A very good morning. Happy to be a part and moderating something very important for the region, that is women in tourism, and that too when we have representatives from the government. I'm sure everyone would be wanting to know what is the government planning to do, how do we go about it. So we have a very important panel of states being represented, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, and Nagaland, which is a representative of a huge chunk of the Northeast India. Now, when we talk about women and empowerment, and we talk about a sector like tourism, I think the first thing which comes to my mind is the moment we look at any sector, and tourism is such an important sector, and today we understand that since 50% of the population is women, so unless and until it is inclusive, they can, the sector, if you're looking at the tourism sector as a whole, that sector will never grow unless and until women are involved in the sector. So from that perspective, I think we would be happy to know what is in store and how they are looking at women empowerment. So to begin the panel discussion, I would request all the members, we'll start with Ma'am Deori first. We take a 2-minute opening remark, but ask you to, just give your views and how do you look at tourism as a vehicle of women empowerment. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam. And thank you to the CII Assam chapter for having given us this privilege and opportunity to share a few of our thoughts. We being from the government agencies, we work in a very set manner, but we are also very compassionate about what is expected from us. and women empowerment as an engine for tourism development has come a long way. I wouldn't say that there is no gender equality. I'm speaking for Arunachal Pradesh in particular. We have many more, a much higher rate of women entrepreneurs, I think, across the entire Northeast region. We have successful stories amongst the women entrepreneurs in Arunachal Pradesh, and we still carry on the work to ensure that empowerment, whether it's in any field, in any diverse field, the flagship programs of the Government of India, when we say Atmanirbhar Abhiyan projects going on, it is very, very important that we prioritize and ensure that women have a fair representation, fair beneficial products that should go with them, and women empowerment in Arunachal is very successful.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I ask Ma'am Rutsa to just share your views, tourism as a vehicle for women empowerment? What are your thoughts on that?
Thank you, CII, for giving Nagaland tourism an opportunity to be here, to share what women are heading for in Nagaland in the field of tourism. Like any other Northeast state, women, because of tribal issues, women always take a back seat. But now, with some kind of exposure, we are kind of moving forward. And so now my question is, in which perspective tourism as a tool can empower women effectively? So the initial for this is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship with creation and innovation. And in which field? In the field of agriculture tourism, apiculture tourism, handloom and handicraft tourism, wellness tourism, and gastronomy tourism. These are the fields that Nagaland is looking forward to and working on it. And I feel this can be a very effective tool, a very effective vehicle for women empowerment, especially in Northeast India.
Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Parthadas.
Hello. Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank Indian Women Network for organizing such a wonderful deliberation on tourism and women empowerment. And I would like to thank Dipanita ma'am and DY365 for making Assam tourism a part of it. I'm only a consultant to the government, so I can only throw some light on it, on what the government is planning to do. As far as the topic is concerned, women empowerment, we are fortunate in Northeast India that at least our societies are mostly gender equal. Because when you say women empowerment, the synonymous word is gender equality. World over, there's a imbalance. In fact, according to UNWTO report, world over, almost 60-70% workers in the travel industry are women. But they are mostly working on the lower end of the job. So they are not in the, most of them are not in the senior capacities. In fact, UNDP had come up with the Sustainable Development Goal for 2030. And the goal number 5 is achieving gender equality, giving better working opportunities for the women. So it is a relevant topic. And in terms of Northeast, what I would like to say is, yes, compared to rest of India, compared to maybe rest of the world, Northeast is still better off as far as gender equality is concerned in the society. But as a tool of economic empowerment for the women, tourism can go a great way in providing them those opportunities. And why do I feel that? Is that because tourism, by nature, it's a gender neutral activity, and hosting comes very naturally to people of Northeast. When you talk about hosting in a traditional society, in our homes, it's our mothers and sisters who are very hospitable and they take care of the guest. Specifically coming to the sustainable tourism end of it, in the previous session there was a lot of deliberations on that. So when we say sustainable tourism, it means 3 things. One is environmental sustainability, second, the social sustainability of it, and third, the economic sustainability of it. And if you look at entire Northeast, we are very strong in the nature part of it. And social structures are in place. Our societies are very strong, especially the tribal societies are very strong. So it's just the economic empowerment of it which needs to be taken care of. And as in the previous session, Madam Fukan had pointed out, it's like if you empower a woman in the family, you take care of the entire society. So I think tourism as a whole in Northeast has a great potential, and when we involve the local, the women, it can take care of the society as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A lot of thoughts have come to my mind in terms of what can be done, because based on the experiences all my life that, involved in the livelihood project and looking at how sustainability can come in. And always, while the ecosystem has come in now, we have so many people interested in tourism. People are thinking about starting something in the tourism sector. So those thoughts are there, but what is required is any business idea comes in from a problem which they're trying to solve. So it's important that we understand what are the major problems in addressing anything about sustainability also. So in that context, can we, and we are looking at also the new tourism policy coming in, and one of the pillars of the new tourism policy is on green tourism. And we talk about green tourism, definitely it's all about sustainability. And I think Northeast, there can be no better place than Northeast where we can look at the crafts which are there, the environment, and we've been talking about that all the time. Now the question is, when we are trying to do that, the policy becomes a very important vehicle by which the entire ecosystem can be, starts working on it. Policy in terms of schemes coming in, policy in terms of some infrastructure put in place. So in that context, I would first like to ask Ma'am, Deori Ma'am, that would you like to will you please highlight the policy initiatives of Arunachal government, and in that context also speak about any specific policy for women that has been thought about, because when we look at sustainability, definitely we are all agreeing right from the beginning that it's the women which can play a very important role in the entire process. So would like to hear from you, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Tourism in Arunachal had come up in the late 90s, and we were introduced to tourism by an association called HIMTAB. Now, there was a little bit of lull in between the period within a decade when we just weren't up to as to how a policy is to be initiated, what would be the sustainable features for it. But nevertheless, the tourism department in the past, initially we made a lot of mistakes, for which now we have realized that we have to learn from the mistakes, we have to learn from the past and see that what we leave behind is something to be replicated and handed over to the generations to come. So we started by firstly building a lot of brick and mortar tourism infrastructures in Arunachal Pradesh. Over the years, it was funded, of course, by the Ministry of Tourism. And we went around in making huge concrete tourist lodges, circuit houses, wayside amenities. What we realized later on, there were so many other developments that was coming up. That is, the state highways were being upgraded to national highways, and the biodiversity hotspots and our state parks, were being notified. Then we realized that whatever infrastructure we had put up was in the wrong angle and in the wrong places. So then we thought that, no, we must bring in some experts, and most importantly, we must take the opinion of the local people. That is where we introduce the community-based tourism. It is very small in its place. Arunachal is a very big area, a very big state. We are having, from east to west, we have 84,000 square kilometers of land and land mass, but 81% of that land mass is under green coverage, under the forest coverage. And we have learned a lesson saying that we should not destroy our forest. We should learn to live in the forest within the the issues, and we must respect the local communities and the sentiments. So that is where we started community-based tourism, and we've taken up rural tourism in a small manner. Many of you must have visited Arunachal Pradesh as a tourist, or you have some friends and families working there, living there. You would see a difference from the past and in the present, because we no longer have too many hotels. We have 12 or 14 approved tourist circuits now. And within the tourist circuits, what we are trying to encourage is home tourism, village tourism, cultural tourism, heritage tourism, and spiritual tourism. We do not have niche tourism. We do not have high-end tourism. We have domestic tourism through our religious circuit. But what we have realized that if we don't come down strongly in curbing the footfall, we may land up like some unsuccessful destinations in the other popular tourist destinations across the country. So the government per se is trying to only develop tourism in a small manner. We want to give you a taste of the culture, the textiles. We are converging a lot of things together. We have a lot of departments working together, because that is the only way you can sustain your projects. And as far as tourism is concerned, the department, what we give back to the people or the stakeholders is we have started 3 flagship programs. This is for the soft skills and also for the homestays. So it is called the Chief Minister's Paryatan Vikas Yojana, where we support homestays, and we support the adventure tourism angle of it, and also we try and develop a robust transportation system. So here we give a subsidy of 5 lakh rupees and also enable the beneficiary to avail the loan from a recognized bank, a rural bank rather. Then we also have the Chief Minister's Paryatan Shiksha Yojana. This is for the training soft skills for students. Now the Ministry of Tourism had written to all the northeastern centers that they have the Indian Institute of Hospitality Management, and they are willing to give some seats, reserve some seats for the northeastern students if they are actually willing to undergo the training. Then we felt that yes, it is very important because they have an entrance exam and the reservation quota is very less, if you see in the All India pattern. So we decided and we asked them to give us 10 seats, but they gave us 8 seats. And I'm very happy to say that one of the most successful IIHMs is Guwahati. So we have our Arunachal students, we pay, the Department of Tourism, we take care of the 3-year degree course, and we also give the student and a stipend for their sustenance. And we have also tied up with your state food craft institution in Nagaland. They are actually giving us a lot more seats, and we are happy to avail the quota that they have given us in honing the soft skills for, in diploma, and not in degree, it's a diploma and short skill certificate course. But this helps because when you are running a homestay or when you have a smaller wayside amenities across your tourist circuits, you need this skilling job, and this is the best way to take care of your unemployment. It may be something small in the eyes of the tourism industry, but it is a very genuine and a very important livelihood for a local resident of that area. And for him this is also entrepreneur by its own self. And so far I'm very pleased to say that we have 427 registered homestays across Arunachal Pradesh, out of which 337 are manned and owned and run by our women entrepreneurs, and they are the success story for Arunachal tourism today. Then we also have the Adventure Skilling Certificate course, which the state government is funding. We have a tie-up with an institute called NIMAS, that's the National Institute for Mountaineering and Allied Sports. This is also in Arunachal Pradesh. It is run by and funded by the Ministry of Defense. And here we generate and we encourage our students to do the river rafting and the rescue and relief and tour guide certificate course, because this is the backbone for adventure tourism. Once the adventure tourism has been notified by the Government of India, we all need to have all these important parameters in place. And to that, we have also added a state skill development under the watch and ward staff, as well as traffic management and first aid centers. So Arunachal is trying to give, the state government has given us a satisfactory budget, state budget, where we undertake all our activities. And we need, of course, we do need to improve our skills and our entire system, but we are very confident that in the years to come, whatever we promote, whatever we curate, it is at the advantage of both the visitor as well as the stakeholder. And just beyond this, I would just like to also mention that during the pandemic, the Ministry of Tourism had encouraged everybody to start this flagship program of Dekho Apna Desh. Yes, we found it very important, and through a lot of series of webinars, but we thought that why don't we start another state initiative of Dekho Apna Pradesh? Because if you don't know your own state, then what will you give back to the visitor? So we have started that, and it is still continuing. We take our stakeholders by way of tour operators and the homestay owners and the tour guides. We send them across, we crisscross them all across the state, and we make sure that they learn something. At the end of it, we take an informal test, and then we certify that, yes, they are competent enough to take tourism forward for the state. And we also do the Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat function that our sister states are Meghalaya and Uttar Pradesh, and we do cultural exchange. Though culture comes under another ministry, but tourism, we have taken it up to showcase the culture and our traditional handloom and handicrafts through tourism. And we do encourage small souvenir shops across the country, across the state, and especially our popular destinations. Last year, in 2020, just before the onset of the second round of pandemic, there was a meeting was convened of the Northeastern tourism ministers and secretaries here by Ministry of Tourism, and Arunachal had put forward an ideation that Assam is the gateway to the Northeast. Whatever happens starts and ends in Assam for almost each and every of the Northeastern states. So we wanted that the tour operators of Assam, in sync with the rest of the tour operators of Northeast, why don't you come forward and curate a program, curate a tour, a package pan-Northeast? Why should we all work in silos that I only look after Arunachal? I think if we promote and showcase the Northeast under one banner, I think we would become the most popular destination. We would be surpassing, even North India. Because in Arunachal, what we have noticed is recently, we are getting a lot of domestic tourists from Gujarat and Maharashtra. So if they can come, and we are just giving them, and they are hungry for more. They would want to, they keep asking us, ki dusre states ko kaise jana hai. So we are also at our wits' end, like who should we, you can't encourage every tourist to, go to the Department of Tourism, every state-wise, and take up the information. Because most of the travelers, of course, the domestic travelers, the family travelers, of course, they use the net facilities just to get some information. But they don't have that, they don't waste their time and energy to connect each state or individually. So if Assam can take the lead, I would say Assam, because Assam is always looked as our big brother or sister, whatever you say. And everybody, the most experience of the lot originate from Assam. So why don't you come up with a package or, a possibility of having a pan-Northeast curated package so that we can work it out. In business, there are ups and downs. But if we do this and if it's brought into the national limelight, I'm sure there would be no looking back for the rest of the country and the world also. So Arunachal would put this forward, and I would request the organizers that have a think about it. Maybe Assam Tourism can come up with it. We are a small state. We do get very less footfall, but we would like to give high value tourism products to everybody who would like to visit. And also we would also like to see that whatever is churned out of tourism is respected both sides, by the visitor also and also by the the holders, that we respect one another. That is how we can be more sustainable, and we will be able to take the state and development of tourism in the Northeast forward. Thank you.
Particularly, I think this is a learning that for all of us, and this has been in my mind for quite some time. Convergence is the way forward for tourism, because tourism is such a holistic thing. We cannot work in isolation. When we talk about textile tourism, we have to look at the Ministry of Textiles. Since I come from the background where we've done a lot of livelihood projects, in Arunachal, for example, comes to my mind, I personally worked in Changlang district on, honey processing and, food processing and honey processing. So these clusters are already pockets where some work has been done. So it'll be very easy to promote that as a tourism destination. You don't have to go from the scratch. I think that can be another way of looking at it. With that, thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to ask Ma'am Rutsa to share your thoughts on what has been Nagaland's initiative and your thoughts.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure everybody is aware of the famous Hornbill Festival, which has been internationalized. And we have realized that after the 10 days festival, what then? Because yes, we bring all the 16 tribes together to the city, to the capital of Kohima, showcasing our handloom and handicraft, our food, our traditions. But after the 10 days festival, what lies ahead? Is Nagaland only that much? We realize that we have much to offer. We have much to offer beyond the 10 days of our festival. So the Nagaland vision of 2030 envisage that there will be a 10% growth of GSDP growth. So we realize that, and we have taken steps to prioritize rural tourism as one of our agenda, which will touch every rural village in Nagaland and every tribe, prioritizing especially on women. So we all know that typically women are responsible for securing food, water, as well as supervising the family's health and diet. Therefore, there's rural women, they tend to practice this of their family health and diet, giving importance to the ancient cultures. So with this, the essence of every Naga woman is bound to the natural beauty of her surroundings and her land. So even if there are rich economic opportunities in the urban areas, there are still segments of Naga women that never wants to leave her home, her village, and her farms. So now what do? We have to take their emotional, cultural, and attachment and commitment to their old practices and way of life and transform it into something, a viable way of life. So with this in mind, now Nagaland has approximately 1,428 villages, of which 1.4 million population. So with this in mind, the Department of Tourism, in collaboration with a nonprofit organization that is called Verna Jyoti, which is empaneled with the Ministry of Textiles and registered with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, we are developing tools for organic agricultural activities, which is environmentally conscious and also with livelihood emphasis with significance to environmental conservation, sustainable practices, and also we have plans to develop women SHGs. Women SSGs, which will be managed by women SSGs, will be promoted under agriculture, tourism, which in this agriculture tourism, the tourists will be able to participate in and learn about traditional techniques of farming, sample the food, purchase it, and experience the traditional farm stay, hospitality. So right now, we are really focusing on our agriculture products like millet, and we are also focusing on turmeric and sweet ginger. Because I think even UGC is giving much emphasis on the millet. And now we are starting the millet festival in the eastern part of Nagaland. And also the apiculture. Apiculture tourism, Nagaland has a long history of apiculture tourism. So in collaboration with Verna Jyoti, we are introducing homestays where people can come and also practice the traditional methods of beekeeping and also get involved in the traditional methods of manufacturing and preserving of honey, and also learning the traditional ecological correlation between humans and bees, and also purchasing honey products. These are all we are doing under the banner where homestays are introduced. Every homestay, even farm stay for agriculture, apiculture with homestay, so that people can come and experience it, have hands-on knowledge, participate in it, and also buy the product. But with the idea that everything will be done in a traditional indigenous manner. And handloom and handicraft. You know, Nagaland is famous for its handloom and handicraft. And then the Naga's handloom and handicraft has tribal themes, symbols, patterns that has social, religious, philosophical connotation, and has a meaning and a story to tell. This exotic and mysterious thing about the Naga traditional dress, handloom, and handicraft is something that attracts tourists to Nagaland. So, because every art, every culture, every design, every pattern has a story to tell. And now today, today's tribal art and design is in the forefront of modern design. And also the demands for tribal themes is on the rise. So now we can see that both in the national and international level. So with Verna Jyoti, we are tying up with a school called Center of Excellence and Innovation to design and develop skill trainings and entrepreneurship, and proactively catalyzing the growth of Nagaland handloom and handicraft and uplifting the state's artisans with homestay in cluster. Now, this way, tourists can come and experience the backstrap weaving, where also they can also, because every pattern in a Naga cloth and motifs have a story to tell. So the tourists can come and learn what the story is behind each pattern. Because the beads, today the beads, the cloth that I'm wearing has 4 tribes in it. This belongs to the Ao tribe. This is where I come from. This belongs to the Konyak tribe. This comes from the eastern Nagaland. These earrings are the innovation of modern young people, of young Naga people. And the overall, the sarong that I'm wearing comes from the Angami tribe. So each tribe has a story to tell. You cannot just wear it because you like it. You cannot just wear it because you want it. Everything that, every color, every strand of wool or thread that is woven has a story to tell. So it is about people coming and participating, learning the story of what each pattern represents. And so this is handloom and handicraft tourism is what we are trying to promote with homestay. So Nagaland tourism is also in the initial phase with collaborating with Center of Excellence for Khadi, which is funded by Ministry of MSME and sanctioned by NIFT for development and utilization of native khadi. And we have few objectives in mind, that is to distribute product quality standard or premium domestic and international market, branding and promotion of the product through domestic and international market, to produce visual packaging and merchandising, increase the global reach of indigenous handlooms and handicrafts through craft festivals with an emphasis on indigenous handlooms. So these are the steps that Nagaland Tourism is taking to promote handloom and handicraft tourism. We are also into wellness to promote health, psychological, and spiritual well-being. And we have gastronomic tourism for exploration of food as the purpose of tourism. Every tribe in Nagaland, the 16 tribe, has, although we are called the Nagas, every tribe is distinct in their food habits, the presentation, the way it's cooked, the way it, and for every stages of life, also there is a story to tell. Like a girl, when she's not married, what kind of food she has to have. A child, for a little child, there's a festival for children where only that age group has to eat. And also in the clothing, a woman, when before she's married, which is still practiced in the interior part of Nagaland, an unmarried, a virgin girl is supposed to have her hair shaven. The day she gets married, her hair is grown, which is still practiced in some part of Nagaland. And also, so we are introducing gastronomy tourism for exploration of food tourism and experiential tourism. This is something, yes, I know Nagaland is famous for having bad roads, but now even the disappointing bad roads can become a very something of an experiment for tourism. So we have introduced that for people who will be able to travel to the uttermost part of Nagaland, experiencing the bumpy road, yet discovering the beauty behind those bumpy roads. So now we are also organizing our tour operators, like Arunachal, we are organizing our tour operators, training them so that they will be able to travel to all the nook and corners of Nagaland. Because when we do not know our own state, we cannot present our state to other people. And we feel that our people should be able to know about their own place and present it well to the world. So now we have started training the Nagaland tour operators so that they will be able to travel to the nook and corners of Nagaland, especially focusing on experiential tourism.
Incredible Northeast India Tourism, a vehicle for women empowerment, powered by Transport Department, Government of Assam, co-powered by Ensure, Complete Balanced Nutrition for Adult, co-powered by Dr. Ortho Ayurvedic Tel Aru Capsule, Gachir Bikhor Babe Ononyo Oushod, education partner, the Downtown School, in association with Awesome Assam, print partner, the Assam Tribune.